Track County for around 2 years now. And about a year and a half ago, I joined a ministry here called Point Men. Now, to give you a little bit of background about what Point Men is, a point man, in the military sense of the word, is the person who goes in front of a unit and looks out for danger ahead of the unit to make sure that they're directing the people behind them. And so in a spiritual sense, we are to be point men with our family, the leaders of our family, discerning the dangers ahead and help direct our family. So the goal of point men is really to become a more effective leader of our family. So it didn't really take very long going to point men before I realized I was the absolute youngest person there. And it intimidated me at first. It was kind of nerve-wracking because here are all these wise men and what do I have to offer, you know? But as I joined in going in through the material with these guys, I slowly, actually quickly realized it was to my advantage because these guys had so much wisdom they could offer that God had given them that they could offer me. They had gone through very similar situations in life that I could learn from and wouldn't have to make the same mistakes. And also the blessings that they had received from doing things the right way, and I could go forward with that. So to give you a little insight as to how Point Men has impacted me, I'm going to have to be a little transparent with you guys about some struggles in my life. So bear with me, but I feel it makes sense. So one of the main struggles that I have personally is just being selfish with my time. I'm sure a lot of us go through this. We're selfish with our time. I'm kind of an outdoor guy, and so I would rather be in the woods, hunting, walking around in nature, doing anything but sitting inside of a house, and would rather be spending my money on ammunition to go to the shooting range and things like that. And if I'm not doing those things, I would really like to be planning to do those things. And what I forget is the investment of time I'm making there that takes away from me investing into my family. It's just really that selfishness of wanting to do things my way and how I want to be spending my time versus investing in my wife and my little daughter. But as I join in Point Men and as I hear from these wise men and point men, where they've made these selfish decisions in the past and how they've impacted the family, I've also heard of men who have been extremely selfless with their time and the blessing that they received from their family of acting in that way. It just really impacted me to be more selfless with my time and give more towards my family, to be the godly leader that He wants me to be. The second area is selfishness with my career. In the high fluting world of Procter & Gamble, I want to go up as fast as I can, and I want to get there quick as lightning, And so I get extremely selfish and prideful with my career and what it means to those around me. This past May, I had a job opportunity that was going to give me an instant promotion that I had been looking for a really long time, but it just meant that I had to move away. And there was nothing wrong with that except for the fact that my wife was 8 months pregnant with our first kid. And it just wasn't a good time for our family. We would have about a 1-month-old moving away. And me being the selfish one I am, I thought, this is the perfect career move for me. This is what we have to do as a family, so I'm going to do it. That's what I have to do. But in listening through the Point Men material, gaining wise counsel for these men, I heard of men who had made selfish career moves in the past, how that had impacted their family, and just the blessing you receive from not making those selfish decisions. So, in listening to this counsel, I was not happy about it, but I gave in and I said, Lord, you're right. This is not the time for me to be making this career move. So I turned down the role, and within a week, I had another offer that would also carry a promotion and actually had me working at the closest building to my house, so I didn't have to go downtown anymore. So for the first 6 months of my daughter's life, I was able to spend very close with my wife, and it was just a great blessing. I was very thankful that I had those guys pouring in and investing in my life so that I wouldn't make the wrong choice there. And the last way is just being content. I mentioned earlier I was kind of an outdoor guy, and one of the things you always are thinking about is to be in nature and to be doing all of this stuff, I have to have land. I have to have a lot of land, and so I find myself focused on how do I acquire hundreds of acres of land so that I have somewhere to be, out in nature. And there's nothing wrong with that again. But when you spend hours and hours and hours looking at all the available land within a 200-mile radius, and you stop paying attention to your family because of it, it obviously it shows that I'm not content with where I am, and it showed that I wasn't content with what God was doing in my life. And then I heard in Point Man of a guy who was content overseas in war in torrential pour down rain with no change of clothes and this horrible story, but he was absolutely content because God was using that situation in his life to evangelize to another guy within his unit. And he was just so glad to be able to be evangelizing to that guy. And I think to myself, I'm trying to get more secluded and away from everything. What is God trying to do in the neighborhood I'm in right now? I should be focused on that and how I can glorify God in my situation, where God has me, rather than my piece of land somewhere. So I say all this to also, and I'm glad you mentioned the fat thing, because the teachable was something that we were just talking about this last session. And I even thought to talk about it today, because you have to be teachable coming into these lessons. I was telling the guys just this past lesson, the most foolish thing I've ever said in my life was my sophomore year in college. I told my dad, I said, "Dad, I'm making these mistakes. I have to make them because this is the only way I'll learn. I don't want your wisdom. I have to learn my own way. That's just who I am." And I'm sure some of you parents are going, "Man, my kid said that before too." And so, for you high school students, that's a foolish thing to say. Okay, just go ahead and note that. So thankfully, long before Point Man, God showed me that that was not the proper attitude, not the right heart response to have to the wisdom around me. And I'm just extremely grateful for the guys who regularly attend Point Man and pour into me, give me that wisdom that God had given them, and learning through the truth of His Word. I'm able to avoid a lot of mistakes that I would have made. I'm able to see the mistakes that I'm currently making so that I can make more of an impact as a leader of my family. And I'm just extremely thankful and grateful for you guys who come and invest in me. So thank you.